Joining me now exclusively, Donna Rotunno is an attorney for Harvey Weinstein. Donna, thank you very much for coming in tonight. I guess the first question that a lot of women have for you is how can you defend Harvey Weinstein?
And my answer is, how can I not? When you do the work that I do, you stand up and you defend people that are charged with crimes, regardless of race, gender, any bias, race, religion. And so it doesn't make a difference to me whether I'm a woman and he's a man or vice versa.
So you have said something to the effect of, you think that it will be helpful for him when you're cross-examining that you're a woman. Why?
I think really for me, what makes it better to be a woman in this situation, of course, my male counterparts are just as competent as I am to do this work and just as skilled. But I think the effect is really on the listener. And I think when the juror, in this case, the trier of fact, looks at my interaction with a female, I think they will view that conversation a little bit differently. And I think I might be able to ask some questions that don't seem as tough if they come from a woman as if they came from a man.
Interesting. And you also said something to the effect of, and correct me if I'm phrasing you incorrectly, that, if you go into a hotel room to talk to a man who is your boss or someone that you're working with, you're essentially making yourself vulnerable to this kind of situation. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think, first of all, in my circumstance, and in this case, we're talking about hotel meetings that weren't happening at 10 or noon or 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. These were things happening after parties, after being in bars having drinks. This is not setting up a meeting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and going to them. So my comments are really about what's happening in this case.
But do you think these women, put themselves in that situation and then for that reason, they're to blame?
Well, I have to talk about this in a general sense because the judge is not allowing us to talk about specific witnesses in this case. But I do think that when a woman makes a choice to put herself in a circumstance, it doesn't mean that she deserves what happens if she does something that's non-consensual. But we believe in these circumstances, they are consensual. So if you put yourself in a situation and then enter into a consensual circumstance and then later change your mind, that's kind of where that comes in.
So has Harvey Weinstein convinced you that he is innocent of these two cases that you're doing for him?
Absolutely. And it really isn't about what Harvey has to convince me of. It's about what the evidence has convinced me of.
And if you were not convinced, would you defend? Because you say, everyone deserves a defense. If you were not convinced that he was innocent, would you still represent him?
I absolutely would still represent him because, as you said, I do believe everyone has a right to a defense. But in this circumstance, I absolutely believe that Harvey Weinstein is not a rapist, and I do not believe that he raped the women that are the two women that are charged in
So you're saying that these women walked into the room with him and they should have known, or they were, just as they were complicit in these acts because, that's the dynamic and they knew what they were walking into?
No, in my case, in these cases, these women had relationships with Harvey that did not start the night that they walked into a hotel room. So there's a lot more in this story than I think meets the eye, and I think that the jurors will be surprised when they hear the evidence, especially given all the media coverage the case has had.
So you talk about hotel rooms and a lot of these, and you say you can speak generally, so that's what I'm doing right now. Yes. What about office situations? What about in some of the cases that we've all read about where people walk into an office and suddenly someone's trying to kiss them, or someone is doing a lot more than that in some of the cases that we've heard about? Is a woman also putting herself in a vulnerable situation by allowing the door to close in that situation?
I think those are different circumstances, and I think that when you work for someone, you're in a different situation than if you have a relationship with someone that's different than working for them. And I think that it's also different when you want to work for someone or you want something they can offer you. So this is not a situation, at least in the cases I'm handling, where they were working in an office with Mr. Weinstein. These are women who had a relationship with Mr. Weinstein. And
so you're saying it was transactional on their part?
Correct.
A lot of people say believe all women. Do you believe any women?
I believe women who I believe the facts and evidence support their cases. But I think it's very dangerous to believe all women without looking at the backstory, the rest of the evidence. And I think what this case is going to show us is that women had made claims to the media in this case, but they told only part of the story. So we'll be able to confront them with the story that they told live, and then the other facts that they decided to leave out, which I think it will be very telling.
Well, I think it's going to be fascinating to watch all of this play out. And Donna Rotunno, thank you very much for coming in. I hope you'll come back as we watch this case unfold.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.